Yes, yeah, I got it. So are people here? So we start, Marwa, or?
Not yet.
Okay, so you tell us when we start. Give us the prompt.
Okay. Usually we wait for maybe 5 attendees or more.
Perfect.
I was discussing with Maria about her book and the importance of networking, and I was telling her about the story how I started working for the Wheel of Reading when I did the podcast with you a few years ago.
Yes,
That's
yes.
a great story.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
have Dana here with us today. Dana?
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Oh, Lana, I'm done. I'm
Hi,
in.
Lana.
Everything is good.
Hi.
I got in.
Okay, the virtual background doesn't like me.
It doesn't like me either.
How are
I'm
you?
okay, good, luckily.
Yeah.
So I think we can start and people will join.
Yeah, let's begin.
Dr. Dana, would you like to start or
Yes.
would you like
Yeah,
me to
I'm ready.
introduce you?
No, I'll start. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are in the world. We're very excited to be on this first day of the Global Conference for Science in Diaspora. And we have with us today our keynote, Dr. Maria Gallo. Of course, Dr. Maria Gallo is the author of her new book, The Alumni Way: Building Lifelong Value from Your University Investment, published by Bristol University Press last year. She's also the founder of the social enterprise KITE, K-I-T-E, Keep in Touch Education. Wow, what a name! That builds alumni potential with organizations and governments around the world. So appropriate for what we are doing here in this conference on trying to harness the potential of diaspora around the world. So Maria is the expert alumni advisor for CERN in Switzerland and a visiting research fellow at the Center for Social Innovation at the Trinity Business School, Trinity College, Dublin. So we are excited to have her today to kick us off in this important conference, talking about our personal alumni networks as a catalyst for collective science innovation. Because again, reminding everybody, this conference is about how do we harness the potential of science diaspora to give back to their own communities. So the floor is yours, Maria. And we can't wait to hear from you.
Oh, great. And thank you so much, Rana. And I am so honored to be here today. And I was very humbled by having this invitation, Rana, personal invitation from you. So thank you for extending that invitation. I'm delighted to be here. And I have bookmarked so many of the events from around the world, and I'm looking forward to hearing from so many. And what's really exciting is imagining the potential for science innovation in this virtual room and across this conference. And we know how immense that is. What would it be like if we leveraged our personal alumni connections, all of these formal shared experiences from our lives, to collectively lead scientific and social change? And that's my focus today. I want to focus on your networks, and even on the word networking, maybe a little bit. And aligned to the conference theme, inspire, catalyze, and do, I want to provide you with 3 challenges to advance science through our personal alumni networks. And they're taken through the lens of who we are as diaspora, for diaspora, and even through diaspora. So I have this little, instead of having a PowerPoint, I decided to put that up there so you can see inspire as, catalyze for, and do through diaspora. And that's what I'll be focusing on today. And many of us, like myself, are citizens, active citizens of the world. We might be from one country and working or studying in another. And that's been my experience as someone who is of Italian diaspora extraction, who grew up in Canada and now lives in Ireland. This diaspora lens is so important to our networking, our building of our networks, not just for us, but for our communities where we currently live, or to support the people in the countries from where we're from. To start, I thought it would be helpful to think about, what do we mean by alumni? You know, you're a member of an alumni community from all of those formal shared experiences in your lives. For the purpose of this conference, you can focus on those experiences you had related to science or even sustainable development. Think of the institutions where you studied, where you completed a research project, a postdoc, a visiting fellowship. Just the amount of ideas is immense. Pause to think about, you know, some of those connections, the institutions that you are connected to, the faculty, the researchers, the fellow alumni, the resources, the equipment, the research projects. And this is something that you're connected to forever. And it doesn't change when you leave campus, finish your fellowship, or live 8 time zones away like I do from some of my alma maters, from the places where I studied. Your alumni identity can extend even beyond just your universities where you studied, or the colleges or research institutes. It can also encompass things like your professional or academic associations that you might be affiliated to the conferences where you delivered a paper, and even the internships or the summer institutes where you might have spent some time. Don't forget also the companies you might have worked with, because corporate alumni is also a very recent global trend. And these experiences really shape part of who you are. They shaped your science, your discovery, and your work. As diaspora, you can share these connections, networks, researchers, and projects. You can bring this to your communities, to your diaspora networks, to your new country of residence, and indeed to your country of origin. And these connections too never leave you. But most importantly, you need to identify that you have these connections in the first place. And that might sound a little bit silly, because chances are they already feature on your LinkedIn profile. That's the infamous one, right? So you've got your LinkedIn profile and it says, you know, all the places you might have studied and where you did your fellowships, etc. But is it also part of who you are? Have you internalized this as part of your identity? So for example, I didn't just graduate from the University of Sheffield or the University of Toronto. I'm a proud Sheffield graduate. I'm a proud University of Toronto graduate. This is subtle, but it's deeply important for action. You're more likely to take action if your alumni identity is internalized by you. It's part of who you are. And here's your first challenge. I want you to take a longer pause now. You might not be able to have the time now, but just, you know, think about it later on and write down some or all of your shared experiences that are linked to science, those universities, your research institutes, your employers, and more. Just, you know, take a couple of minutes and write them down. You might rate them as the ones that you have the deepest affinity for, especially if you have a lot of affiliations. And here's the powerful part. I want you to take the time to refamiliarize yourselves with what's happening in these places, with the people that you know in these places, the science, the discovery, the knowledge sharing, the opportunities. These might be the little jewels that you're looking for to support a project in your community, in your country, in your scientific ecosystem. So you can do that traditional thing where you can follow your universities, institutes, or organizations, or maybe faculty members that you admire. You can follow them on social media. That's one way you can do it. Another is just by checking out their websites, doing very simple things like that. Read the alumni magazines if you indeed get them. And make sure that these organizations can also find you, because you won't miss out on any of their incredible work if you can reconnect with them. So find out if they have an alumni network or an alumni association, and make sure they have your updated contact details. You can also do this by, you know, even reconnecting with an old professor, with an old department or unit or research institute where you might have studied to get on the mailing list. And this links really nicely to the second part, which is for diaspora. So we've done the inspire as, and now we're going to catalyze for diaspora. Why are alumni networks so important? They link us to our alumni capital, that special kind of social capital That includes, as I mentioned, those flows of people, knowledge, and resources. So if you can imagine, I'm very visual, so I thought I would make you a little visual diagram there. I hope you can kind of see it. It's a Venn diagram there. So you've got people, and you've got resources, and you've got knowledge. And so sometimes when people think about their networks and their alumni networks, they're really focused on the people. But it's these flows of the people, the kinds of resources that these places have, and indeed the knowledge that they're sharing and they're producing is equally as important. And also it's a flow. It's not just something that you can extract. It's not a mine. The idea is that this is something where it's a flow. You're part of a larger ecosystem, and you need to contribute and take from the environment to keep that equilibrium in the ecosystem. And of course, once you kind of have that give and take, you can actually pass that along to the diaspora networks for the different kinds of inquiry, science innovation, research, or collaboration. And the best part is that you bring this web of alumni connection everywhere you go. You bring it to your labs. You can bring it to your thinking, your scientific collaborations, bring it to your potential grant projects, to science outreach projects in the community, to sustainability initiatives. You have an open door to a breadth of people, knowledge, and resources at your fingertips. So what might this look like in my book, which Dr. Rena was so generous about talking about, my book here called The Alumni Way, Building Lifelong Value from Your University Investment. I tell the story of Benjamin Labrotte and Ryan McCormick, who are two alumni from the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland. They met at college, and these two students shared a passion for building accessible healthcare. After graduation, the two of them kept in touch, and they founded the Floating Doctors that delivers healthcare to some of the most remote communities and islands around the world, and also in underserved communities in really remote pockets of the world. These two founders also decided to return to Ireland and the RCSI to share their experience with students and fellow alumni. The purpose was to inspire the next generation of healthcare professionals to consider how they could build on their passion to create social change. And the return was probably bigger than they anticipated. In fact, it was. They got incredible national media attention in Ireland for the Floating Doctors Initiative. In fact, that's how I first found out about them, to be able to write about them in my book. And it brought immense profile to the organization. And in fact, the RCSI students even organized a fundraiser for the Floating Doctors to support their ongoing work. So when we talk about the word catalyze, we can be that spark or that catalyst for others within our alumni community too. The students, the researchers, the faculty. So we can talk to them about our passion project. And it doesn't necessarily have to be global, but they can help to signpost us to make and create even local social change, or even scientific innovation that interests us. And now I just want you to take a couple of minutes to think even bigger now, because alumni connections are not just about universities and institutions anymore. They have taken a broader diaspora quality too. How many people here, for example, may have graduated from a university or an institute in Germany or the UK or Australia? Countries like this have established global alumni networks to bring together a diversity of people who studied in a country and now find themselves abroad. Some countries have created these global alumni networks for scholarship winners. Specifically, they want and they've done this so that they can create local chapters of alumni. Many of them are in the global south, to leverage these networks to create local social change, to be able to take all of those alumni from diverse backgrounds, from diverse experiences, but have all had the same experience of studying in the same country, and then bring that to a local knowledge and a local challenge or a local community initiative. For you, this also expands your personal networks to a larger knowledge base, resources, and even connections to people beyond just one institution. The alumni portal for Germany, for example, is a great example of how they have created online lifelong learning opportunities, collaborations, and challenges for alumni to work together to focus directly on sustainable development goal related initiatives. And if anybody here is from a government agency or government organization, I would ask you this question. Is there potential to develop an alumni network for your country? People who have studied in your country and now live abroad. And imagine that kind of potential to be able to kind of reconnect with that group of people from those diverse scientific and diverse backgrounds that have had this opportunity to study in your country and then bring immense potential back to your country. And here's your challenge. Be creative. Is there a problem that maybe you're trying to solve right now in your lab? Is there a gap in the knowledge that you're looking for? Are you missing some crucial resources? Create 2 Venn diagrams. So that Venn diagram that I showed you a bit earlier there, if you can see it, create 2 of those. I want you to create one for yourself. Or think about all those identities and think about for yourself, all those identities, and think about what could populate in those circles of flows of people that you know, the flows of resources that might be available, and those flows of knowledge that could be available to you that could help to solve some of your problems. The other one is create a Venn diagram about you. So what can you contribute to the flows of people, the knowledge and the resources? What can you offer out into the ecosystem? And there are so many, and likely there's going to be overlap, and that's exciting sparks of synergy that are really exciting about alumni connection. These will become reference tools for you to think about that you're part of something much bigger than just you by yourself in your lab working on your science, but in fact, you're part of this wider ecosystem that you can bring and contribute to your diaspora networks. And finally, I want to talk to you about through diaspora, the action component. What do I mean here by through diaspora is I mean that diaspora connection. And this is the generosity that you can bring to your personal alumni networks. If you meet with fellow members of the diaspora, be generous and gracious with your network that you may have accumulated over the years. You have already had that incredible, inspiring, transformational experience, and other people are also craving that experience. And you have an opportunity to be able to convey your wisdom and your interest in be able to support them to do that. So for example, you could be an inspiring mentor for a fellow scientist who's looking to get a postdoc in a country where you studied. Be open to becoming that mentor, or even being a mentee, someone that is being mentored by fellow alumni. It's a great place to find someone that can inspire you. You can also hone your curiosity. And this is one of the most fundamental scientific traits. And I know that Dr. Rana spoke about this in her opening keynote this morning. As scientists, and I myself am a social scientist, so I feel like I'm among a really collaborative group of colleagues here. We have the ability to learn so much from others. Reach out to those with interesting research, and be intentional and strategic and generous about how you're making these connections. Be open to a 15 or 20-minute online conversation to discuss mutual areas of interest. Indeed, one of the key perks of being part of an alumni ecosystem is that you'll meet fellow alumni from a broad range of disciplines, all of that diversity, from academia to people that are in industry to those that are entrepreneurs, and they have the same shared values of commitment, including the commitment to creating social change or focusing on one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which in fact can be a great overlap. Did you see something advertised in your alumni networks that maybe could benefit someone else in your diaspora? Share it with them. You can offer an introduction between 2 scientists that you feel just need to meet. Introductions are a powerful way to leverage your alumni capital. Those connections that are that flows of people, resources, and knowledge that you have through your university and all of your connections. Give this opportunity to others, including fellow diaspora. Being in a diaspora is non-competitive. even if science has become a more competitive endeavor around research grants and even publications. When you share a connection, you can then bring those together to enhance horizons, aspirations, and other people's networks. And the most important question, as I mentioned prior to the session starting, is the most important question that you can ask when you're doing this kind of networking with your alumni networks is, how can I help you? So I've even wrote that down so you don't forget, how can I help you? And that should be one of your main focuses, so that you're bringing a lot of that equilibrium and generosity when you're talking about this. Think too about the science diplomacy that you can offer, and sharing your achievements, your research, your scientific insights with your home country, with government officials, with diaspora organizations, diaspora trade and professional organizations too. This can impact new policy, new initiatives, or support a new research innovation, or even local social change. Through your diaspora, you offer your connections, and vice versa. There is a movement and an interest in diaspora returning also to their country of origin. How can your alumni connections offer you insight or support to open doors as you may decide that you want to return to your country of origin or your home country? If you want to hear more examples of alumni in action, here's my little promotion. We're having a panel later on today, and it's a panel of incredible alumni experts from across Europe who have been involved in realizing some incredible alumni networks to advance science and diplomacy. This panel will offer some solutions, their action, that I hope will offer some further inspiration. And here's a powerful idea. We're all connected by this event, and we're all alumni of this event, all of us. So we come from different backgrounds, different parts of the world, different scientific expertise. And maybe there's someone who's really inspired you today, or a fellow participant in the conference with similar interests or research to you. You are already connected by this conference. This is your open door. So it's time to walk through and to really try to make those connections sparkle. And your final challenge is exactly that. I want you to reach out to fellow alumni or to someone from this conference and explain why you're reaching out. It could be for your own interests or to support them in the work that they're doing. And make it a regular habit. I often suggest that people should be doing this kind of alumni networking every week or at least every month. I like to call it an Alumni Friday. So imagine if you took an hour every Friday just to connect, to read research, to reconnect with your the places where you have studied before, and all of your alumni network synergies, and how this might be able to expand your alumni horizons. So to conclude, I want to remind you just those 3 challenges, which are to identify your alumni networks, those formal shared experiences in your lives. So I want you to write a list down and be proud and internalize as part of who you are. I want you to map your alumni capital. So if you can see that there's your alumni capital, the flows of people, resources, and knowledge that you have, and what you also what you can give, and also what you might be able to get from your alumni networks. And finally, make alumni networking and your networks a regular habit, whether it's weekly or monthly, to be able to support your diaspora networks and to create local social change. So finally, think alumni. These are powerful opportunities that can really unfold. Do it for yourself, to enhance your alumni and diaspora networks, for scientific leadership, and for so much more innovation in our world. As this conference ends on a Friday, that's a great day to start an Alumni Friday habit. So you can start this week, reach out, and keep those alumni connections alive. So thank you so much for the opportunity to convey some of this work about alumni connection to you, and I'm open to any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much, Maria. That was fascinating and so relevant, because I love to go to a conference to find something tangible I can go home with and actually do something, and not just be inspired and then not know what to do. So thank you for the 3, how you used the 3 themes of inspire, catalyze, do, and you gave us concrete things to do in such a simple way. So thank you very much. And I invite all the audience to actually take Maria's advice and do what she told us to do. I'm going to do it for one, and we'll build on that in our report and recommendations for this network of this conference and the extended networks of all alumni around the world. So thank you very, very much. We have one question that I'm going to read out, and for lack of time, we won't be able to go more, but this is from Martin Russell. And of course, there's so many things we can tweet about what you said. The measure of your power is connectiveness. Wow, that's a direct quote from you. But the question is, does Maria think we are limiting the impact that diaspora networks can bring for science, for other sectoral areas, by being too narrow in how we source our definitional and applicational tools to diaspora engagement? For example, he says, we rarely connect the dots between work in areas such as corporate alumni with diaspora engagement. Should we not be calling that corporate diaspora engagement? So thoughts?
Wow. Okay, Martin, hello, and thank you for your question. I mean, the reality is that a lot of these alumni networks can often work in silos. So it's not just our universities work in silos, and you're right. Some of these diaspora networks can indeed work in silos, as can corporate alumni, and we have the potential, I think, especially in the scientific community, to actually start to be those bridges, to create that bridge between these different communities, so we can actually go to a diaspora trade organization and say, I'm part of the, I don't know, Stanford Alumni Association, and guess what I can bring? I know this great science is happening at X university, and I'd love to bring it to pilot in with your diaspora organization or in our country of origin. So there's a lot of opportunities for us to be that bridge, to be able to allow. It's almost like we're going to force that those amalgamations to happen, and to force this kind of synergy to happen, because we're going to be that glue and those bridges for allowed to happen. Hope that helps to answer. I don't know if you had anything to add, Rana, but yeah.
Great, thank you very, very much, Maria. So because we are a little bit short on time, thank you very much. We urge people to follow up with you. You're pretty well known to actually